right, folks, welcome. Looks like we're going to get started here right about on time. Hope y'all are doing well. Got this new setup, trying to do better lighting. I know that the image quality isn't the greatest. Still, the internet where I live, it's just not available in super high speed. So this is going to be the best that I can do. I know a lot of you are new to the streams in particular, and just bear with me. I'm working on trying to get another provider that can help me out with this. So cheers to you guys. It's Tank 7 for me tonight. A lot of great stuff to talk about. Unfortunately, I'm on a time crunch in terms of I'm on call for my day job. So I'm going to keep it about 30 minutes tonight. So want to start off. Pat Mahomes is doing something, and I touched on this last night, that is just really been defined more and more today about just how special it is, about how far he's going. I mean, first and foremost, he looks healthy. Looks like he's moving just fine. Looks like that ankle injury, it may not be gone, but it's on its way to being gone. And I do feel like that's a significant part of how well he's playing right now. I feel like it allowed him to break the pocket a little bit more, to buy himself some time. I think that, that helps any quarterback, but he in particular, because he knows the weapons he has downfield that can let him break out. So I feel like he's really off and running, and this is so special. Like to be on pace, to be ahead of guys at 20 games like Marino. I mean, just the names continue to roll in of Hall of Fame quarterbacks that he's in the same echelon with. So that's really, really incredible. And it goes to show that it's not all what a college player does. It's not all potential. It's not all upside. It's a combination. A lot of back and forth and some discussion today about how Andy called a play for him that he specifically wanted, and that they bounce ideas back and forth of each other. And that's something that for a player of this age is pretty unique. And I think that's part of it. I don't think you would have seen this result with Andy Reid coaching another quarterback. And I don't think you would have seen this result with Mahomes playing for another coach. So it really is the combination of the two. I think that we just need all to take a step back for a couple of minutes and enjoy the fact of just how special that is. It's only going to get better too. I don't see any reason or possibility that they're going to get shut down. I just can't see it happening. It doesn't sound like it could ring true for me. I'm going to pop the chat out here, and we'll get to your questions here in a couple of minutes. But I just want to go over that. Enjoy this while it's going on. There will be strife. There will be some problems eventually. The O-lines, when Andrew Wiley got tweaked yesterday, that should send a chill. They're good, deep offensive line unit, but starter quality is not that deep. So, I mean, you're going to have to take a loss there if you have to go into the depth. Every team does. Attrition happens. This is why teams stack and build deep rosters. That's the point of it. But to be at this point already where you could lose a significant guard fairly early, that can be a big deal. So, again, be happy where they're at. I think they're making progress. Was happy with the run game yesterday. I thought it was balanced between the two backs, and I thought they both were able to grind when they had to and able to take their shots when they had opportunity. I thought you really saw a lot from, and as I watched it again today, I think you really saw just the fact that Darryl Williams can find his foot and go as well too. It's not something you see from him very often. And I just ran through the condensed version after work, but it really stood out that he can buy you some of that explosion as well. So I think offensively they're doing fine. I thought the defense, there's still some run fits that I'm not happy with what the linebackers are doing. They still seem off kilter. I will look at the L22 when that comes out, and I'll have more on the film room. I'll probably just comment on that. I'm going to try to stick to the plays that really stand out, and not really get into the slog of things that they did wrong. I don't think it's anything that's unfixable or is going to plague them all season. I think they're doing fine at this point. And quite frankly, I think that's kind of how they designed it. I thought the pass defense has improved. I thought like I said yesterday, I thought Bashad Breeland played very well. There were a couple of plays where he was beaten, or would have gotten beaten had the pass been completed. But all in all, when you're playing a speedster like Brown, most of the time that happens. That's why Willie Snead actually made some plays, because they had to come off of other targets, Andrews, Brown, and that's why Willie Snead made some of those plays. So before we go any farther, I just want to say thank you for all of you that started checking out those shirts that I have up on Teespring. That's going great. We're getting more out there. The Welcome to the Kingdom shirts, especially. And for those of you that want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Grab a T-shirt or a phone case or whatever. There's all kinds of products that have the same kind of stuff on them. And Aaron Morrow and Big Tess came up with a couple of ideas. So there's a do shirt out there too. So grab that if you like. And you can always do, there are a couple of people already leaving super chats. So appreciate that. Now that said, I think that all goes back towards, this is such a long time coming. The Welcome to the Kingdom stuff is because there's so many bandwagon fans that are going to be joining this and already have. And it's because it's been such a long time coming for this organization. 50-year anniversary since the Super Bowl. That gives you a lot to think about. So that said, state of the franchise, I think they're good. No serious injuries. They did confirm the repair went all right for Eric Fisher. So we'll see what the timeline is on that. And we'll have more later in the week, hopefully, from Coach Reed. So that said, knowing that we're on a tight timeline tonight, I'm just going to jump into the questions and we'll get rolling. So Gary Holland, are you worried about the linebackers against the run, and did we pick anybody up? They worked out Joe Deneen today, Jayhawk, so I'm all for that. I don't think he's going to help you too much against the run. I am not worried. Again, they're choosing to let the run hurt them rather than the pass, so I think they're where they want to be. I think there's a lot of improvement, and I'm still very, very happy with Damian Wilson being a surprise, playing much better than I expected him to. Hitch doesn't look 100% to me. He went around some blocks yesterday that really cost him. Nobody really took on blocks very well. The Baltimore line, I thought, was much more physical with the linebackers, and even Xavier and Derek Nottie got beat up a little bit in the run game. So that tells you something. Aaron Morrow, did you notice that Clark took a couple plays off? He either gave up on him or, hold on, I scrolled past something, or didn't put out the effort. I noticed a couple things went away from him. He kind of let up. I felt in general that the defense, their conditioning isn't all there. I do feel like they're still playing into shape. So that said, I did notice a couple of times where people pulled up, and players have a tendency to do that unless they're ridden. So you want to see that this coaching staff gets after some guys, because that shouldn't be acceptable. This defense can be better than it is, and it's already doing markedly better than last season against giving up points. Yeah, there was a ton of yards given up yesterday, especially against the run, but again, didn't give up as many points till the very end. I felt like they let up in the fourth quarter, and kind of like that's part of being young. That's part of not having your leaders into the end of the game and keeping everybody fresh and keeping everybody focused. That part has to be taken up a couple of notches, in my opinion. Nathan Roth, can Breeland Speaks come back this year? No, he went on IR beforehand. He cannot return, I don't believe. I'll have to double check that, Nathan, but I don't think so. Jerry Cole, and Jerry, thanks for the tweet. I appreciate you getting the word out. At the beginning of your, yeah, and Jerry's right. Put the question marks at the beginning. It really does help me find them in this chat window. Adam Daughtry, did you see Jefferson on the last missed tackle go down for the first? He flopped like a fish. Yeah, players sometimes do that when they get to the point where they're frustrated and they need something to go their way. They might try some of that. It doesn't usually work, so I'm not too worried about it. Carson, defense is growing game by game. What game do you think they will be a full unit, really together and on the same page, week 8 or 10? Not only they're trying to learn to play together, they're trying to learn what Steve Spagnuolo is trying to do. And the great thing is that Spagnuolo is making adjustments in game. So that puts another layer of adaptation that they have to go through on game day. So I think it's going to take some of that. Mid-season, I think they're going to break into that thing where they're firing on all cylinders. So that's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for progression. Stark 815. Does Mahomes go off for 500 yards against the Lions defense? No, I think the Lions defense, especially their front's pretty good. I think they're going to give the offensive line something to handle too. So I'm expecting about the same. If he breaks 400, I'll be happily impressed. But I think it'll probably be another 350, consistent with what he's doing. Carl Leonard's on a swing pass to Hardman. What do you think that Mahomes realized where he was and how he was going to get out of harm's way? I don't think it was that he realized that he was getting out of harm's way. It was that, hey, clearly they have the first down. That was the goal. There's no reason to take a hit. And Andy's going to shoot me if I actually let myself get punished on a stupid play like this. So more power to him. I thought it was great. Aaron Morrow, who was the most underrated offseason move, Ogba or Wilson? I think it's Wilson right now, but Ogba is in serious contention. He's playing very well. And not just the fact that he got a sack and all that. He's putting on a lot of pressure. He set the edge pretty well yesterday. There's one time maybe that I noticed that he got rounded on, but I think he's doing very good. I'm surprised by that. I think he's playing into the defense. He's probably one of those guys that's playing into it more than others. Let's see here. Oh, Stevie Keys. Thanks for your donation, Stevie. If both were available, would you rather trade for Ramsey or Peterson or Bobby Wagner or someone to really help the run game? I'd draft a linebacker and I'd trade for Peterson. That's what I would do. I think that helps you in the best way of what's going to happen down the road. Devlin with the Patriots went on IR today. So a lot of this for me is geared towards making sure that the Patriots can't run down their throats. Well, that took a serious hit today. So there is some positiveness there. That said, I would consider trading Wagner's. He's on the downside of his career. He's up there in age. He's very expensive. I wouldn't trade for Bobby Wagner. That's just me. If he parts from the Seahawks voluntarily, then signing him is a whole different beast to me. Good question, though, Stevie. Firefighter Farmer, why isn't Andy keep your foot on the pedal kind of coach? I think that has hurt us in some games and even in the playoffs. Yeah, I agree. And it's his reputation. I think he's aware of not running up the score on people. I think he's also trying to limit exposure for the quarterback. So it's just guesses on my part. I don't know, but he's always been that way. I don't think it's going to change. I'll continue to complain about it, but what you saw yesterday was, oh, hey, we underestimated how quickly they can come back, and that was the problem. So, yeah, I think you do have to keep your foot on the pedal more in this league than he's used to or what his instincts tell him. But the guy's super, super successful coach and obviously an offensive genius. He's not going to change his stripes at this point. So you just got to live with it. You got to shore up the defense enough so that other teams can't come back on you. Let's see here. Young Adam. I still think a defense will be better in week 6 or 7. Yeah, I do. Like I said before, they're still working up to it. Might even be a little bit longer at this point. So, it just is what it is. Wolverine, thank you. Appreciate your donation. Again, I think you did last week too. Thank you. Bashad Breeland. We played well against Brown. Any chance this stalls a potential trade for disgruntled Jalen Ramsey? Also, Matthew showed up. Matthew did show up. 3 PBUs in the game. I thought he was over there. I think he missed a tackle at one point. I didn't tally everything, but I thought Matthew is showing what he's there for. And more importantly, I think he's a leader in that secondary. And I think you're seeing the secondary step up some. I think Bashad Breeland played really well. I'm really happy with him, especially against a guy that has him beat in terms of flat-out speed in Brown. I don't think it has anything to do with Jalen Ramsey, though. I don't think this team wants Jalen Ramsey. I don't want Jalen Ramsey. As good as he is, he comes with a lot of headache. And I, for one, am not convinced that if you brought him in, you would have to pay him eventually. Maybe not right away. You could try to do he's under the 5th-year option already. You could try to do the franchise tag thing, but then he gets disgruntled. Then you have another Marcus Peters on your hands, and they don't want that. And in the meantime, if you did bring him in, trade for him, you'd be giving up draft capital, and then you'd have to sign him if you wanted him to stay happy. And if you want him to stay happy and you sign him, then you're going to make some other guys pretty frustrated, like Chris Jones. I don't think you can do that. So, there's minuses to it. And at the end of the day, I still just feel in my gut that Jalen Ramsey is more about Jalen than he is about any team that he plays for. He's more about himself than the jersey he's wearing. So that is what it is. William Simpson, aloha. How are you? Jerry Cole, the refs made horrible calls this year. Almost let Lamar get hurt and Mahomes get hurt. Yeah, the refs are, and especially the PI thing. I didn't put it out there because I don't want to be just ranting negativity. I hate doing that, and I hate complaining about the refs, to tell you the truth. But that play, the blitz by Thornhill that almost got home, that ended up with the receiver pushing off, making that catch, which should never have been allowed. Fuller was in good position and had done his job. That guy clearly interfered. It was offensive pass interference. It was challenged, and they still upheld it. I don't know what they were looking at. They're blind. I don't care what the word egregious means to them. They blew it again. So there's still some serious overhaul that has to happen here. That's just ridiculous. It was a two-hand shove from that Ravens receiver. It was just as horrible officiating. What can you do? I can't do anything about it. We'll see if it changes at all. Carlos A, why is your camera so blurry? I have terrible internet, so when I stream live, I try to get it as good as I can. I just don't have any control over it, so that's why my upload videos are a whole lot cleaner and look good, and this is what it is. Someday I will have better internet. I just don't know when. Sorry, folks. Okay, next question. Remember, put question marks at the beginning of your question, and it'll help me find them. Afro Ninja, do you think we should trade for Samuel, left tackle from Washington? No, I don't think so. The cost involved versus the cost of Fisher, I don't think you're going to let him go. And I don't think it's a career-threatening injury or anything for Fisher. I think they're happy with him. I think, honestly, they might draft one before they trade for one. So I don't think that's in the cards, but I've been surprised before. Cole Kelleher, let's roll. Okay, I can figure that out. I just got to do up a new design. I can take care of that for you. Let's see. Pono Kwai, how are you, pal? Aloha. A great win yesterday. Defense stepped up, not counting the rubbish for the grabs. Yeah. How do you envision Andy utilizing Mecole and Tyree together? I think you're going to see them try to attack some deep zones together. Either line them up in a stack, line them up. They've been liking the 3-and-1 configuration lately. So I can see those guys. Mecole's been running a lot out of the middle spot there. I think you could see them both on the outside and just try to attack the deep outside on one side with both of those guys and put safeties and corners in a position that they have to make a decision. And one of them will run by somebody. That's what I think is in the future. Good question. Who's next? Taz. How do you think the game in Detroit will be? I think it'll be interesting. I think Matt Stafford's a guy who can take advantage of some of the things the Chiefs have going on in the secondary. They are susceptible to some deep speed. I think Marvin's a good receiver. I'm interested to see, quite frankly, I haven't watched them live at all, so I'm going to have to do some film review before I even get to them. So that's going to be in my future too. And I'll try to let you guys know when the game plan coming up on Friday. Deldrick Smith, do you think we need Jalen? Or can we... When do we have Claiborne coming back? Claiborne will be back for the Week 5 game. He can practice starting that Monday. That Wednesday. I think it's good. I think he's going to help. I will say I think Ward played pretty good yesterday versus the first 2 weeks. So I do feel like he's progressing some, and that's a great thing to see. I do still feel like they could use a number 1 corner. If they could get somebody that is just a monster out there, that is clearly a shutdown corner on one side of the field, that opens up what you can do with the rest of the secondary. I still, in my head, I'd rather pay for a guy like Patrick Peterson than a guy like Jalen Ramsey, especially knowing that it's a short-term deal, Super Bowl window, and that's about it. And you're not stuck with the negativity and the guy in the locker room that can affect other young players. So that's where my concern lies. Let's see. Ian Connis, is there anyone being quietly great for the Chiefs? I think Derek Notty's being quietly great for the Chiefs. I think he's really consistent against the run. I think he showed up a couple of times on a couple of scrambles. I did put up on Twitter, and it should be up on Chiefs Digest tomorrow, a quick breakdown of the first 2-point conversion try. And Derek Notty came straight down the line of scrimmage and made the play. Dan Sorensen actually jumped outside and made Jackson cut back in, Frank was there. Noddy cleaned it up. Damian Wilson was right behind him. He wouldn't have gotten in either way. But Derek Noddy's definitely a guy that I think is under the radar and playing very well. What's going on with Ragland? Have you heard anything from BJ or Matt? I talked to Matt. We just did the show today. I talked to BJ last week. Real quickly. No one that I know is saying anything about what's going on with Reggie. I think he was trade bait when it was a possibility, and I think that they just feel like they want to go with more versatility than a run-first guy. If there was ever a game that you could have started him, knowing how much Baltimore was going to run, it would have been last week, and they didn't do it. So I think it's just that Reggie's a little challenged. I think Hitch, Lee, and Wilson at this point are better in coverage, and that's the problem. Even though Reggie made some plays in coverage to end last year, I think that's significant. So I think that's all it is. I don't think it's any problem with Reggie. I just think his game's a little bit narrower in terms of what he can do. Let's see who's next. Oh, scrolling too much. Hold on a minute. Why isn't Reggie playing? That's why. Another Ragland question. Big test. I think I got that. Noddy was not abused yesterday. Got subbed twice on some double teams, but he broke like 4 more from what I rewatched today. So, Malik, I don't agree with you there. Norman, what's your opinion on how good the Detroit Lions is? Like I said, I'll have that later in the week. I really don't know. Taz, opinion on the running backs. I like their balance today. I think when Damian's healthy, he'll come back. I'm a little surprised still because when they initially announced it, it was like a knee contusion for Damian and an ankle sprain for LeSean. So I think I felt like, and it felt like the team felt like Damian would be back first, but clearly that didn't happen. Ronak, how are you? Been a while. Do you think Tyreek will play in week 5 against the Colts? I'm not sure. Coach Reed did say something today about having to control him, having to keep him from bouncing around too much. So it sounds like he's feeling good. And if that's indicative of how he's healing, then maybe he could be back by then. I really just don't know. Dr. Sanders, do you think Mahomes being NFL's new superstar means the refs give him the benefit of the doubt on flags? I don't feel like that yet. I think it could happen eventually, but I don't see the Tom Brady treatment for him happening yet. We'll see. Scott Mesa, do you think that Frank Clark sparked his confidence now? I don't think Frank lacks confidence. I think Frank is an uber confident guy. I think he's conditioning challenged a little bit, and I think he's still thinking a little bit too much. Stevie Key. Oh, sorry, that's not a question. Dan Thompson. Waylon Jennings for sure. Big fan of Johnny Cash. I do some of his songs too, but Waylon's the guy. Do you know how long Damian Williams will be hurt, Nathan Roth? No, I don't know. It could be any day. It could be a month. I have no update on that. Ponoquai, going to cost the Chiefs a lot of play. But do you think that they need Ramsey to beat the Patriots? Ramsey would definitely help you beat the Patriots. Without a B, I think that takes some of the necessity away. So I'm not as worried about it. I do want another shutdown corner, though. We'll see what happens at the trade deadline. One of those guys, Jalen or Peterson or both, is likely to move, in my opinion, still. Ian, who should we be getting more targets, Robinson or Hardman? Hardman for sure, in my opinion. I'm very impressed with what Demarcus has done. He has surprised me. He has made bigger plays than I expected him to. But if he continues even to do half of what he's been doing, he's going to get a contract offer from somebody else that the Chiefs don't have the room to match. So for me, it's get Hardman up and going right now as fast as possible. Let's see. Metal Rocker. How much did Darryl Williams impress you Sunday? He didn't impress me that much because I knew he had it in him. I've been a big Darryl backer from day one. I'm glad that he finally showed the rest of the world. And particularly, there's a lot of Chiefs fans that don't think he's very good. And so I've been waiting for this. I was really happy for him to see this break out because he looked against the Ravens how I've expected him to look since he came into the league. He's just been waiting for a shot. I think he's a little lighter, Matt told me. So I think that's helping. And I expect as long as Damian's out, they still have a good 1-2 punch, and Darryl's going to be productive. Talked about Ragland. Gabe, do you think we will have to get rid of an offensive star to be able to pay Mahomes? I don't think so. They're pretty young. Sammy's contract's going to expire by then. I don't think that's going to get replaced unless Sammy wants to play for real cheap. I think Hardman's going to be there. I think you're going to see another receiver come in soon, another young one get drafted probably. So that is the whole idea. William Simpson, what defensive position of need in the defense do you still think it's DB? Yes, I definitely do, and linebacker would be next. Red Rocker, what's the chance we go undefeated? I don't think it's happening. I don't think it can happen in the modern NFL. So I'll say 1,000-1. Gary Holland, can you imagine what the Chiefs would do if they were completely healthy? That's the really interesting thing because their offense is beat up. It's going to be a challenge to get everybody touches, but as long as they can stay humble and not get too greedy about targets, touches, whatever, I think they're going to be fine. Thoughts on Okafor? I thought Okafor, I think he's playing very, very well in both pressures and in coverage. He had some interesting comments about getting burnt by that cut from Lamar Jackson yesterday. I can't blame him at all. I don't think there's anybody who wouldn't have. That was really, really impressive, the way Lamar Jackson runs. So I hold nothing against Okafor for that. Adam Daughtry, best guitar solo. Johnny was a strummer. He didn't play a whole lot of lead. It's definitely Waylon. He used to play for Buddy and all. Yeah, Waylon's a way better guitar player. Or was. Sorry, Waylon. Dylan Kruckman, do you feel that Neiman is playing? Oh, and your beer tonight is the Kingdom Ale. I hope you like that. Golden Road, give him a shout out. I think Neiman's playing pretty good in coverage. I think they're happy with him. I think that's, again, another reason why Reggie's not the first guy off the bench either, is because they feel like Neiman's playing well in coverage. That really goes a long way because that's, 90% of what they have to do, especially when the offense is clicking and teams are playing from behind. What you saw from the first drive in the second half from the Ravens where they ran. That's really rare, and they happen to be very good at running the ball. So I don't think that's something that you're going to see over and over and over this year. So if the Chiefs can stay healthy, I think they're in good shape even with Neiman, and you got to have Reggie in the back just in case. Because he is good against the run. He got 3 snaps yesterday. I haven't looked at them specifically, but I know he didn't get a whole lot of time. Scott Mann, how do you challenge an obvious bad no call on that offensive pass interference call on the 2? And it's still, I don't know. That, like I said, that was horrible officiating. Hopefully the league is reviewing that and they'll get that figured out. That ref should be reprimanded, to tell you the truth. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, Adam. Sorry, everybody. I'm just pressed for time with the day job, and I'm going to cut it off here in about 5 minutes. So let's knock these out. Jerome Washington, what attributes does Claiborne bring to the secondary? Also, is the trade still necessary? I still think it is necessary for number one. Claiborne can play a little bit of everything. He's got a lot of experience, and he's seen a lot of looks. So the experience factor is what's big for Claiborne. They'll be able to roll changes a little bit faster with him. And I think what it gives you is they don't have to go dime with 3 safeties. They can go dime with 4 corners at that point. I think Ward is a good 4. I think he should be a starter on some teams, just not this team. And I do think that he will get better playing with Mo Claiborne. And I do think Claiborne will probably start over him. But, like I said, you can go to that 4 corner dime, which I think will be more effective for what they're trying to do. Right now, they're dropping Kendall Fuller out to a safety quite often. So I don't think that's something you want to stick with too long. I talked about clock management, Michael. Let's see. Do you think it'll be a good move to make Sorensen a linebacker? No, I don't like Sorensen as a linebacker. You saw them get run on when he and Neiman were in there in the small nickel. I don't like that. I like him as a strong safety. That 2-point conversion, it's on my Twitter timeline. Check that out. He was great at that. He plays well at the line of scrimmage. He's just overpowered when he has to go in against guards. That's not what Dan Sorensen is. He's a strong safety. He's a pretty good one. And that's where I think I would leave him and only play him at that if it were me calling the defense. Okay. Nathan, do you think Demarcus is on the team next year? If Demarcus Robinson keeps playing like this, no, they won't be able to afford him. So it's kind of a, good for him, not good for the team. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Brett Cambier. Anyone else think Robinson is making ground on Hardman's long TD to make that block? Yeah, I mean that's the thing that Demarcus has always been good at, and he got that from Chris Conley. They're both good blockers, and you can never take anything away from Robinson, that he's always been willing to do the blocking work, to do the dirty stuff on screens, to be the guy in the front of the triangle taking on DBs. But now he's starting to make plays on the ball, and not just the wide open stuff like he did last year. Now he's starting to, that catch in the end zone was incredible. And that's more power to him. That's Demarcus performing. So what I didn't think that he would be able to do this season, he's proven me wrong. Richard Klein, I read that Frank Clark hurt his neck 2 weeks ago in practice. I did not know that. If true, that might be part of it. It's just powering through that, and that could definitely be true. Pono Kai, what team is the number one offensive line in the league, and how do we develop such a line? I believe in terms of blocking efficiency, I think it's the Cowboys. And you do it by putting second, first round draft picks into it. The Chiefs have been looking for skill players to put with Mahomes. So that could come around here in a season or two. I just don't know how they're going to approach that yet. Scott Meza, Wiley got a little sting. Who fills his position? Jeff Allen? Possibly. He came right back in, so I think he's okay there. They have Allegretti as well. I don't think Rankins is going to be a guard, but he played some of that in Houston, so you never know. They're deep, but I don't think they have defined roles. They like those guys that are versatile across the line. Aaron, didn't Darryl have a big run and got brought back because of a penalty too? He looked even shiftier. I think he did have a penalty brought back, and he does look shiftier. He's quicker on his feet. There's at least one play where he planted his foot and cut up, and I think it was like a 12-yard run, and he looked very explosive, more so than I've seen him in the pros. J-Dub, how do you feel about the Patriots defense not allowing a TD so far? They haven't exactly played offensive juggernauts. I'm just going to leave it at that. Infopocalypse. The Ringer NFL said Baltimore offered a first, second, and Hayden Hurst for Ramsey. Do you think Chiefs could up that? No, not even close. I think a first and a third is the very most, and I don't think Brett Veach wants to give up a first, period. If he would do it, I think he'd be more apt to do it for Peterson than Ramsey. Aaron Morrow, better than Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray and Waylon are different. I'll tell you that. Personally, I'll take Waylon. I have no problem with anybody who says they'll take Stevie Ray. My guitar player would take Stevie Ray, and he's a great country player. Let's see. Nathan Altick was the main cause for the turnaround of the running game between Oakland and Baltimore. I think it's just that they've been able to slow down the attack at the B-gaps. They like to run that outside zone, and it cuts up the B-gap quite often. So I think that's most of it. And a rocker, why does Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson remind you more of Vic or McNabb? Lamar more Vic. Deshaun doesn't really remind me of either of them, to tell you the truth. Maybe more of a Cunningham with those long limbs, you know what I mean? That's just off the top of my head. I don't know. Justin Troba, is the O-line protecting Mahomes well enough? No. Danny B, I'm glad you made it. And yeah, we talked about the run defense. Red Royce, yeah, you don't want to see my face unless you have to. I don't blame you a bit. All right, we're going to wrap it up here, folks. I am out of time for tonight. I know it's kind of short. I apologize. We'll be back to a normal hour next week. So let's see. Anything bone shattering? No. Okay. Yeah. So I got to cut it. I'm sorry. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back. Film room should be Wednesday afternoon, morning if I can get it done a little bit early. And then game plan for Detroit on Friday. If I get any extra interviews like Bernard Pollard or anything, I'll throw those up probably on Thursday in between. So keep an eye out for that. Hope you guys have a good week. Yeah, that's it. Enjoy Monday Night Football. I'll talk to you later.